Alrighty. Welcome to the Financial Griot podcast. I'm here with my two guest hosts. Not guest hosts, co-hosts. Oh my goodness. It's because we have guests coming. So it's been on my back of my mind.
Wow, she looks down on us now. Like, that's why she felt like when she went
like,
to inbound.
Host?
She's like, other people that's on here, who cares?
No, it's because we do have guests coming, which is actually a good thing that we should talk about. We do have some people that we're going to share their financial stories, their journeys. And I think Alana's doing a great job of meeting all the great people she met at Fincon and pulling them into the Financial Griot podcast, because I think it's cool that you guys hear our stories. You ladies and gentlemen, not guys, we're really trying to change that. Ladies and gentlemen, hear our stories, but I think it's definitely good to get insight from other people on how they make their money moves. I think money is not monolithic. Everybody has a different path. And so hopefully, or we can share those stories. So Lance and Lawrence, how are y'all doing on this beautiful day?
Doing amazing as always. When you got
grateful.
Money, days are always good.
I'm grateful. I'm good. I'm healthy. It's hurricane season here. A lot of rain on and off, but I'm good. I have no complaints really. I'm good. I'm here with you all.
That's good.
Yeah, and I guess for me, it's been a long week, because I don't like necessarily traveling, coming back soon to work, and it just feels like I'm drained out, and I'm finally getting to a space where I'm, figuring out life again. So I'm back in the driver's seat. I'm supposed to have a presentation today for
I'm just about to ask you about that.
So it's gonna go down, so we're recording, but then after that, I'm just gonna do my thing, switch over, and try to sell the Financial Griot to a larger audience.
Keep working, keep moving. Love it.
Lawrence, before we get into this FinCon inbound conversation, you're about to speak, and you've had a couple of speaking engagements overall. What in 2023 are you looking to do different, if anything?
In 2023, what I'm looking to do is actually get a certification. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's going to set me apart. At least set me in the direction I want to go. One of the things is either getting a CFP or AFP. The AFP is an accredited financial planner, but the CFP is a certified financial planner. I'm actually more so leaning towards a certified financial planner, because I could go and attend Howard University, a great university, obviously above bar, one of the best HBCUs in the land, better than wherever Atlanta went to. And just to kind of stick it to her. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm end up getting my certificate, and I'm going to do the exam. And then it's going to give me a little bit more credibility. I'm going to start officially really kick off and launch the business as either basically because I'm both a minority and also a veteran. So try and do that, and also work through the government as a contractor. So we'll see. It's going to be a side gig. It's going to be an opportunity that I think is going to really open up the spaces, and I want to make more money.
Awesome. How long is it going to take you to do? How long is it going to take you?
It shouldn't take me that long. I think once I get into the payment and actually registering, I've been studying this kind of stuff for the last 10 years. It's not a lot in the financial literacy space that surprises me or I haven't heard of. So I don't anticipate a lot of issues with it. I'm just picking up. I'm stopping by, tossing some cash, picking up my certificate, and then keeping it moving. And after that, I'll be able to really share a lot more and with more distinction to larger media outlets, and hopefully kind of boost up the blog and really bring additional credibility to what we're doing at the Financial Griot.
That's dope. I think it's important. The reason why I wanted to ask that question is I think when we're talking about last time, we were talking about opportunity costs and going to like things like FinCon, inbound, and just investing in ourselves forward. I think the audience needs to understand like this stuff just doesn't happen overnight. These are breadcrumbs. And so how was FinCon? What did you feel that was like the top 3 things that happened that made you feel like, oh, this was worth it? Or just funny things that happened that you enjoyed?
So it was my first time attending FinCon. I think one of the best thing I do enjoy just all around is not just the relationships and people that you meet, but there's a sense of authenticity, like authenticness, if that's even the word.
Authenticity is
there you go.
for the non-Haitians.
So people are very like genuine, and majority of people are very down to earth, and they're so willing to help, asking you about your brand or the reason that you're doing it. And it doesn't seem like far apart of where you are and where they were at some point. Right. And I really like that aspect of just meeting so many different mini influencers, big influencers. So that was a really cool aspect of it. And just seeing people outside of the realm of, the digital space, because you can actually physically see them, talk to them, have a conversation with them, kind of get a sense of their, energy. So that was really cool, because people I follow online, I was able to talk to them in person. Even some of the people that we have interviewed here on the Financial Griot podcast, we were able to kind of, chop it up in person, have conversations. So that was really good. It kind of like this community, not only a digital community, but a physical community. So that was a great, I guess, overall theme. I think the second thing was, and one of my highlights was actually one of the young ladies that I met at Fincon. I can tell you guys about that story later, how that relationship is coming full circle. But we were just chopping it up at like a random meetup, because we were going to a session that we both, I guess it wasn't the right day or something. So we both confused the dates, and we're just chopping it up. And like all these other women were looking for a specific podcast meetup. They didn't know where it was located. So they seen us sitting there, and it just came all around us. Like, you know what? Let's just do it. And like just a massive women of color, like different platforms just came who were doing podcasts, and us introducing ourselves, us, just exchanging information. It was just so, like, for me in that moment, it was just so enlightening and so refreshing to see people that look like you, who are women, who are in the podcast space, who has this purpose or this ambition to share financial literacy, to share different platforms of their community in different niches. Because I met, Spanish speakers who are also translating to just English, trying to reach out to their community. And I met other women who are, specifically targeting, foster kids and all these other great platforms and activities they're doing. So for me, that really highlights my moment, because it kind of solidified that it's bigger than me. Like financial literacy is bigger than me. Personal finance is bigger than me. And the wealth gap that we always discussing is something that you can't put a number on. You can't physically touch. And we know that, but it's in those moments, in creating those community and relationships and having those conversations, you can feel like it can, lessen the gap because of that, because it starts with conversations. And that was like this, grander, moment for me at FinCon, is doing that and positioning myself to do that as well, because it was a little overwhelming meeting that many people, but I felt welcome. I felt safe, and I felt like, this is where I belong. And I think it kind of like, for me, the introspection of just trying to understand my purpose a little bit better. So it was absolutely great. And, Lawrence spent a little cash and lunch on me, so I hadn't to spend that much money.
Man. Oh, that's the thing I remember too. Like, hey, that hotel was not playing. That
hotel was
that
expensive.
Parking lot was legit. Like, they literally, you drive in, they say self-parking, but they don't tell you how much you're going to pay until you actually clock out for the day, or whenever you decide to take your car. It is $25.56 per day. I'm not quite sure where they get the 56 cents. So that really pisses me off, because it's like, just make it 25, make it clean. But they're like 25.56. That's the amount.
But even if you're a guest, it's $17.
Oh man, that's nasty.
No, I'm sorry, not a guest. Yeah, if you are a hotel guest, it's $17 for self-parking.
Yeah. You park, anytime that you take out the car, you have to, basically it's not for the entire day, because some places like, hey, you bought for the day, you could leave and come back at your whim, but not this kind of place. This place is like, once you leave and you come back, that's another $25.56.
Well, they break in. I'm double charged, right? Because I didn't stay at the designated conference location. I stayed like, probably 10 minutes away at another Marriott. So they charged me being a hotel guest like 11. It was $11
shoot.
there.
Oh,
Yeah, they
I
charged
fell
me
born.
there.
I fell born.
Yeah, 11. And then I went to the actual conference. That's 25. I'm double. Let me tell you something. Really utilize these credit cards. And because I have, so in my case, since I have a travel credit card, that's 5% each. So it really works in my benefit. But dang, your girl did not like the bill when I checked out.
Oh yes. For myself, for the entirety of the FinCon, I just love to be around, the people that are kind of in the same boat as we are, like that community of people that really think about financial literacy, building wealth, a little bit more intentional with our time, a little bit more focused on what we want to accomplish and what we want to see in the world. And on top of that, for me as well, if Atlanta didn't notice it, I was actually around just to take photos here and there, like whenever she was kind of in that group where the ladies kind of started gravitating together, I took photos, because sometimes it's good to be player 2 or even player 3. It's just to be a supporting character in somebody else's story where you're trying to help everybody else out. So, because I've already, went through my first FinCon, I already had this experience in wholeness. This time I was just there really kind of a little bit more relaxed. I came in sometime with my vanilla raw latte, sipping it out here, coming from a cafe, loving it. And I was just kind of enjoying what people were saying. I was trying to see who was really about something. And I think at this point, too, we started really making some earnest connections with people that might have seen us before, or we might have been on their podcast before. And that was also great. And I guess the last memorable thing was actually running into the same day when I got there trying to do the registration, I actually almost registered in the wrong place, because there was another conference and it was like an MLM. It is interesting to see how. Yeah,
you didn't tell me that.
No, I just went left because I thought it was the first thing there. So I'm standing in the line. She's like, "No, this is not the FinCon." I'm like, "Okay, what is this?" And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is why I see a lot of people of color here, because they're at a marketing MLM type of thing. Because at first I thought, oh, like, wow, there's a lot of Black people out here at FinCon this year. This is gonna be cool. This is interesting. I was like, nope, they were all there for that MLM. It was actually kind of sad, but it really opened up our eyes to, at least for myself, to say that we need to do a lot more to get people away from the get rich quick schemes and to get them into spaces where, their money is working for them. It's actually really sad to know that some of these people are old. Some people are like, I guess in a wheelchair, like whatever it is. And I'm like, you guys are spending a lot of money and you're doing the best you can. But in the end of the day, it's actually all for naught. And for me, at least that kind of reinvigorates me to create better content, or even try to figure out ways that I could do more as far as grants, or even do financial literacy conferences. Any idea to really get it off the board, because this can't be it for a lot of people. You work too hard for your money to be just, tossed away in some get rich quick scheme.
And ironically enough, where it's probably because I Googled it, it's probably a handful, not even, of the presenters who, quote, said they're millionaires, whereas we actually have multiple millionaires at the FinCon conference, right? And you can see this in-depth amount of just differences when it came to FinCon and this other conference that was taken by. So for us, it is disheartening, because I sat there and remember I was texting you guys in a group message. I sat there, I just need a time away for so many people for a second. And I just realized just so many people, but not only Black people specifically, but a lot of women. It had to be at least 80 to 90% of women, Black women, have that. So it was a bit disheartening as well, because, FinCon does have a multitude, like more bigger now, of Black digital content creators, but not as much as the attendees for this MLM. So that was something I really noticed.
Yeah, I think definitely from the conversation that you guys were putting in the group, it's noteworthy that a lot of people noticed that, like, hey, there's an MLM going in here and there's a whole bunch of people, but here's the actual information that's really going to give you longevity and wealth. And maybe people are not even aware that FinCon exists, right? Because it's not in their ether. And that's the one thing about the MLMs. They are good marketers. They are aggressive. They will hunt you down in the Starbucks line. They will do what they need to do. Whereas this other side is more so like, hey, this is good information. It's good that you may know it, but you still have to be motivated to do it in the long term. And one of the things that one of the mentors that I listen to all the time, he says, the problem is that everybody wants to get there quick. and not realize that's actually the vulnerability. And typically, because you want to get there quick, you probably never get there. Whereas when you're talking about building wealth and longevity, it requires patience. It requires being methodical, and it's more so not passive, but it's more. It's, I think Remy says that all the time. It's like when you're actually investing the way you actually really need to, it's not something that you're doing every single day. Whereas when people talk about like day trading or, MLMs, they're talking about quick every single day, you got to hustle, hustle, hustle. Whereas building wealth longevity is more so planning and building systems around what you do. And that's not something that you're maybe looking at every day. It's constant decisions that you already put in the back end, like automatically removing 8% out of your check to put in your 401k, rebalancing it maybe every quarter or every 2 months or whatever, but it's not necessarily an everyday fast turnaround like fast food. It's something that actually needs to be marinated. And I think that's probably the reason why a lot of people don't gravitate towards it.
How did you we can switch the gears here. We don't want to put too much energy into the MLM because that's honestly, that could be another episode in itself. How did you enjoy, at least a bit of your away? Because
I feel like it's still like hitting me because I think the moment that really like, although, you have all these big names and that I thought was going to be like, okay, that would be cool. But what really, really hit me about, it's pretty much similar to you all, was that how much people of like our tone, Black people that are not in these spaces, but there were so many opportunities. And when I speak about opportunities, I'm not even talking about if you're a business owner. If you're in your career, you had a couple of tech companies that were there, that they were doing interviews on the spot. We're talking about like entry level positions up to director level positions. And sometimes in that moment, that one scene that I was like, I think captivated me was that there were a couple of tech companies that were there. And then people were like going through the interviews and stuff like that. So I talked to one of those ladies and I was like, how was it? She's like, yeah, I got an offer. And then I started to realize like sometimes when we talk about the game being rigged, this is what we're talking about. Being in that space, she was already in the market anyways, but now she got an offer. So even if you saw this job on LinkedIn, you're not in the spaces to be able to even have access to something like that. And it really made me realize like a lot of times where opportunities are not going to just come to our door. They're not going to just come to find us, but we do need to be out there. And what the CEO of HubSpot hosts Inbound. HubSpot is a CRM, which is a customer relationship management. HubSpot in 2020 made $883 million. They're pretty much ranking almost $1 billion in net revenue. They are a software as a service, which is SaaS. I'm giving these languages because these are companies that people think when you hear tech company, they think of like tech company, meaning that if I'm not a person that has tech skills, that I can't work. They hire HR people, they hire customer support people, they hire in different verticals. And the average salary there is $75,000 and above. The average. I think the only one that's a little bit further down is like if you're doing entry level first year out of college, and I think they start you at 55 or 60,000. I say this because on the one end, I'm looking at through the lens of business, but the other hand, I'm looking at it through the everyday person. Like these are the environments that sometimes like people are like, well, I'm not making enough money, I'm not doing this, but here's these opportunities. And what was cool was that the lady that is the new CEO of HubSpot, she's an Indian woman. Her salary is a $3 million salary plus bonuses plus all this stuff. And as a woman of color being in tech, and that's like a really, really big deal. And getting to have conversations or for some reason serendipity where I don't know what happened, like you get to talk to this person. And the sentiments that you've had internally is that when you get there, when you're a person of color or you're a woman, minority, whatever you want to label at, you may not be the person they look to in the beginning. But when you get results, there's no way that people won't look towards you. They have to. And at that point, you have a couple of options. Do you want to open that door for the people behind you? And if there's one thing in this experience that I've learned was this, like, I am the person that hasn't want to go to the next level because I've always said to myself, well, I need to refine this one part of me. I want to refine this. And then starting to have conversation with people, and they looked at me and said, you need to be doing this times 100. because I can tell that you have the guts, you have the knowledge. And these are people that are way ahead of you. These are people that are running $100 million companies. These are people that are far, far ahead of you, looking at you and says, I need you to sit there and come to this meeting with me. I need you to be exposed to this next level because I can tell that you have it in you. And it is the affirmation or the confirmation that you didn't know that you needed to be in those spaces. Because some of the ideas that I have, I'm like, it's not working yet, God. Like, how is it going to work? Because I need this, I need that. And it's like, no, you actually don't need more resources. You need more belief. You need to go pitch it like you believe it. And you're going to get the yes. Like recently had this little contract conversation. The lady came back and was like, no, we need to figure out how to expand this because I can already tell just from our 1 hour conversation that the results we're going to get from this is going to be phenomenal. And we need to figure out how can we expand this. I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I wasn't in the space. I wouldn't have been able to see what's possible from like talking to someone that started a consulting firm and they say, hey, I started it with 10,000. Now we're making 5 million, 6 million every quarter. Like having these conversations and seeing the business model behind these businesses, it helps you because you can know what's possible, but seeing the playbook, seeing how it's done, it really is something that's just freaking transformable. So HubSpot is amazing at what they do. They have, I'm also considering doing their MBA internship. Because I just think that just being even more exposed is not going to keep time because I could do it during the day. But either or, whatever path I end up taking, if there's one thing I can come out saying is that you have to be willing to be in some of these spaces. Just be in the space because the conversations you hear, the inspiration is not what I'm talking about. It's real, actionable. You need to do this. You need to talk to so-and-so. Here's their number, not their email. Here's their number. I'm putting you in a group chat right now. Here's a VC that's looking to invest $10 million this year in these type of businesses. Here's so-and-so that does X, Y, Z. That's different between me Googling somebody and knowing that they raise money or they give money. VC. It's different when somebody gives you the contact and say, hey, tell Tom that I sent you and I'm already going to talk to him. I text you. That's what I'm talking about. There's one thing to network on a level that you know so-and-so is doing VC. It's a completely other different thing when you can have somebody do the intro for you. And so be in the spaces, have the conversations. It opened my eyes to what's possible. Boston has a big healthcare firm type of thing. They big on that. They have a lot of projects like I talked to you guys about. They have all these $1 million funds that are just, people are just not wasting, but could be done better by people like us, but we're not in the rooms. They don't know. They honestly don't even know there's a neighborhood finance guy that's doing financial literacy and they're looking for somebody. They're looking for somebody to pay, hey, $20,000, can you do this workshop? There's a economic development down the street. They have a $5 million fund to help small businesses excel, and they're looking for people to execute marketing classes, and they're willing to pay $5,000. You're not in the room. You're not in the room. So that's like kind of like the biggest thing for me. Be in the room, even if it's investing. It may not turn over right away, but be in the room and be willing to have the conversations that can probably potentially change your life, not necessarily only financially, but showing you what's possible. So that's my 25,000 minute speech.
Yeah, it makes our conversation about Fincon sounds very very lowbrow. She's actually it's just like she's like, yeah, I was actually making real money out here. Lawrence, I was making real cash. Yeah, I think no matter which space that we were in, I think we all gained something from actually stepping away from, I guess, working from home or even working all the time. And we'd recommend anybody to really start seeing the conferences that really resonate with you and to try to get into those spaces, because just like Lovely just stated, some of these places is where people make real great connections. They change their jobs, they create new businesses and really open up the sky for them in regards to what is possible in the world. And you have to be in those spaces. You can't be always on the sideline, throwing shade or throwing sticks and stones. You got to be in the rooms where the decisions are being made and people are actually communicating.
I will add to is when I was younger, I used to look at like different conferences. Oh, that may be something I'm interested in going. And I used to always be, I guess, I would discourage to attend because of money, right? I'm like, oh, I just don't have this money, or I just can't do it, or how can I, get around traveling and this and that. I think it's sometimes where we innately have these creative, ideas and resources that we don't tap into, right? A simple email, look at the coordinator. We Google everything else, right? Google is my best friend. Google does not stop as you get older. It just takes in a matter of research and see what money is out there and pull in your relationships that you do have, right? Look out into the Facebook groups of people who are attending these conferences, or just look into like different scholarships. Fincon offer scholarship for first-time attendees, right? So those are things that people are not aware of, but you just have to tap into things that you already know how to do and just transfer into something that you have to do for yourself, because it does benefit you in terms of self-development. Placing yourself out there, position yourself out there, like we mentioned, is just by starting to do so. So don't always just place it and just not think that you're not unable to attend solely because of money, because there's always ways around it.
Yeah, and also, like you said, there's scholarships, there's opportunities. Like, even for HubSpot, they'll do like giveaways from time to time. They even have Black at Inbound, Black at HubSpot, whatever it may be. They have different things that they got going on. Just look into it. And I think we always laugh about this in the group, that Lawrence will post something and he won't post a link to find out like the article or or the statistics. We don't know where the statistics come from, but I do like it in a way of like, you can find this information if you really want to. But thank you, Lanta, for putting them for us, because I don't know why he just doesn't do that, because you're already
always
in article.
do that. It's so annoying. It's like so annoying.
Screenshot sent over. No link.
No link. No nothing. I'm out here.
How is it annoying? It's challenging. It helps you grow.
Whatever.
Growth.
Yeah.
Growth. That's growth.
But I do think there is something to say, like how people will spend hours to learn a TikTok dance, like a routine, like the new ones, which is fine, which is cool. You like to dance, it's not a problem. But then we'll say like, well, I don't know how to do this other thing. And it's like, well, the same muscles in your brain are working together to learn a dance or to learn something. You just made it fun. For example, I'm taking like economics right now and the stats in accounting, which is like, pillars to financial literacy in terms of like businesses. You got to understand how the economics works. You have to understand how statistics play a role in decision making. You have to understand accounting, right? The reason why now I think if I was taking those classes 10 years ago, I would be like, now it's exciting because I'm relating it to my day to day, so that when I do grow my business, as I grow into different leadership roles, bless you, as I grow into different leadership roles and other things, I have this knowledge to apply to a day-to-day thing. So we need to learn how to link, hey, maybe budgeting right now is not fun, but you want to budget so that you can have this other outcome. So link it to something important so that you can learn and do it. Because sometimes you'll say, oh yeah, I don't have time to learn this. And it's like, you do, because you learned how to use Instagram. When it came out, nobody knew how to use it, but you learned. You learn how to use TikTok. You learn how to use all this other stuff because it's fun. So the same way, put that energy towards something that's going to give you a bigger return. And I'm going to say this, it has nothing to do with anything that we talked about. I'm not against anyone trying to do content creation or using that as a way to eventually make a living, but please do not count that as your only path. You have to think about longevity, and you have to figure out what skills, if you are doing it, how that's going to work. So you just want to be able to do those different things. So that's what I wanted to add. Like whatever you are doing, whether it's investing in a conference, investing in going out somewhere, investing in anything, please, for the life of us, all of us, think through some things. I was writing in my journal recently, and I said, Lovely, just think through it. Just think through it. You cannot fix everything at once, but you can dictate that you do not want to be in the same position 5 and 10 years from now. You want to grow. You want to be better. So invest in yourself forward. And that's it for me.
Fincon
That's
and
it
Inbound.
for me too. Y'all could close it out.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that everyone had a good time. You can find me anywhere on Lovely Mardellis and of course the show page notes.
Thank you once again, guys, for listening to TFG, another great episode. You can find me on all the interwebs at Atlanta. It will be on episode notes.
And you can find Lawrence, because I think Lawrence out here sneezing.
So, sinuses
you
coming
can
through.
find Lawrence at the Neighborhood Finance Guy anywhere at .com, also on IG and LinkedIn as well. Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.